Welcome to the video. My name is Aleksi and on this channel I cover all things Azure. Today we're continuing our Data Factory series and today's topic is going to be dynamic expressions in Data Factory. We already touched upon this topic in the previous video where I covered Data Factory parameters and variables. So if you haven't seen that video, I would highly recommend you watch that before watching this one. Link to that video can be found in the description. And now, without further ado, let's jump into today's subject. Today we will start things off in the Data Factory. I will create here one pipeline that I will use to demonstrate where the dynamic content can be found in the pipeline view. So let's create that pipeline and let's add one copy data activity to this pipeline. This pipeline is not going to serve any practical purposes in this video, so we are not going to focus on this pipeline that much. We are going to now open up the source tab in the copy data activity and just select some dataset that we created in our previous videos. After selecting that, we can start hovering our mouse over these different input fields that we have in this copy data activity source tab. We can see that this add dynamic content will appear under those fields when we hover our mouse over those. This would allow us to add dynamic content into those input fields. As you can see, this dynamic content can be found in almost any input field that we have in this activity. We can also open up the sync tab and also select the dataset there. And we can see the same thing happening here, that when we hover our mouse over the input fields, we can see that add dynamic content pop up here as well. Now we can go to the settings tab and we can see that also here in many fields we have that dynamic content available. And now let's go back to the source tab and let's open the dynamic content for our file name. We can see that this will open a pipeline expression builder window. And this would allow us to define some dynamic content to this input field, meaning that instead of hard coding values, we could dynamically come up with values based on our pipeline logic. And this would allow us to build way more dynamic pipelines. As we can see, we have here one parameter that is the global parameter environment that we defined in the previous video available, and we could use that here to input the value of that environment parameter to this file name dynamically. I already covered passing these parameters dynamically in the previous video, so we are not going to focus on these in this video. Instead, we can open the Functions tab. This is the tab that we are going to focus on today, since the Variables tab we already covered in our previous video. When we open this Functions tab, we can see that we have here many groups of functions. We have collection functions, conversion functions, date functions, logical functions, math functions, and string functions. And we could expand all of these so we can see that the amount of functions we have available here in the Data Factory is quite large. Today we're actually going to cover two of these functions in more detail, but when you get the grasp of the Data Factory expression language, then using any of these functions would be easy. Now let's take a look at Data Factory's expression language in more detail and cover a few functions as examples. In my opinion, using Data Factory's expression language is a bit similar to using Excel functions. So if you are comfortable using those, then you should get hang of these quite fast. So for using these Data Factory's functions and expressions, you don't need to be any hardcore programmer to understand these. You just need to understand some basic programming principles. Now let's cover two very commonly used functions in way more detail. Let's start with the Concat function. This is a pretty simple function in the Data Factory that will combine two or more strings together. And the basic syntax for this is that we have the concat, then open parentheses, and then we have a bunch of strings separated by commas, and then we have closing parentheses. So basically this function takes in a bunch of strings and then returns those strings combined into one string. And now let's see how this function would operate in action. In this example, we have three different input strings that we're going to give to our concat functions. First, we have the input string 1, which is going to be file. Then we have input string 2, which is going to be _1. And then we have input string 3 that is going to be .txt. Then we are going to input these to our concat functions and we start with the @, always the data factory expressions start with the @, and then we have the concat, open parentheses, then we have our input string 1, and then we have a comma and our input string 2, then other comma, and then our input string 3, and then closed parentheses. Also, these string values have to be in the single quotation marks so that data factory identifies them as string values. Then as an output from this function, we get file_1.txt. So this concat just concatenates these 3 input strings together. Pretty simple, right? Next, let's cover another function that is very commonly used in the data factory, and that is UTCNow. This function will return the current timestamp in the UTC time zone. The syntax for this function is UTCNow, open parentheses, then the optional format and the closed parentheses. And this format is optional, since if we don't specify it, we get this kind of a default ISO standard timestamp out of this function. But if we would want to format the timestamp in a different way, then we would have to specify the format. And I will show you in the upcoming examples how we could use this format to specify different kinds of timestamps. The return value of this timestamp is the current date and time, like described. Now let's have our first UTCNow example. In this example, we are not going to pass any formats for our UTCNow. So let's start our expression with the @ like we have to do in the data factory, and then just add UTCNow without any formats. Then output of this function will be a string value that will be our timestamp. And here we can see that we get this timestamp in this format that we have the year first in the green, then we have a dash, then we have 09, then another dash, and then 11. This is the current date when I'm recording this video. Then we have a T that separates the year, month, day from the hours, minutes, and seconds. After the T, we have hours, then we have colon, then we have minutes, then another colon, then we have seconds, and then period, and then fractions of a seconds. And then as last thing, we have a Z, which describes that this is a 0 time zone, meaning UTC timestamp. Next, let's cover another UTCNow example. And in this example, we want to specify a format to our UTCNow function. Let's specify a format to our UTCNow function. First, in our format, we want to specify the year. So we want the year to be first. So we specify the year as 3 Ys. This will tell the UTCNow function that we want to add year here. Then we add 2 capital M's. This will be indicating that we want months here. Then we add 2 D's, and this will indicate that we want days here. And then we have T that will be separating our date from our hours and minutes and seconds. And after the T, we want capital H, and these will indicate that we want hours here. After those, we want 2 M's, and this will indicate that we want minutes here. And now take a note that lowercase m's means minutes and uppercase m's means months. Then as last thing, we want seconds, and we will specify SS there, and that will indicate that we want seconds there. And then we will add a Z to the end to indicate that this is a 0 time zone timestamp. And now let's pass this format to our function and have it in the single quotation marks that will indicate that it is a string. And after running our function, our output is going to be this more condensed format of the previous timestamp. Now in our last example, let's raise the complexity a bit. So let's now combine using the concat and UTCNow function in the same expression. Let's start by defining our input string 1 for our concat function. It's going to be file underscore. Then our input string 2 is actually going to be the UTCNow function with the format that we specified in the previous example. Then our input string 3 is going to be .txt. So now let's input these to our concat function. Let's start with the @, and then we are going to have the file underscore as our first input string. After that, we are going to have the UTCNow function with the specified format, and then we are going to have .txt. And now when this function will actually resolve, it will first resolve the UTCNow in the middle, which will be resolving to that timestamp that we have defined. And then it will combine these strings together, so our output is going to be file underscore timestamp.txt. And this is a simple example how you can nest these functions in the Data Factory expression builder using the dynamic content. And you could actually get really wild here and start nesting a lot of functions inside each other and start to build a lot of complex logic in that express window. But the goal here is not to build the most complex logic, but to build the most simplest logic that does the trick, because we do not want to build overly complex pipelines, because maintaining those in the production environments could be a hassle. Now let's go back to the Data Factory and do a quick demo to see how these functions work in action. Now I'm going to show you a quick demo how to use the dynamic content expression builder and the functions in the Data Factory to build more dynamic pipelines. Let's start by creating a folder to our pipeline. Let's name that tutorial 6. Let's create a new pipeline. Let's name our pipeline according to our naming conventions, and let's add copy data activity to this pipeline. Let's also name our copy activity accordingly. And then let's create two datasets, one for our source and one for our sink. Let's first create a folder for our datasets called tutorial 6, and then create our first dataset. Let's select Azure Blob Storage, click continue. Then let's select binary, because we just want to use the binary copy and we are not caring about the file contents in this demo. And now I can show you that I have already created two containers for us to use in this demo to our blob storage. We have the tutorial 6 sink and tutorial 6 source. In the tutorial 6 source we already have one file, and I have just added some random text content to that file, because the content, like I said, doesn't matter in this demo. And our tutorial 6 sink is still empty. And now we would like to copy the data from our source to our sink. Let's name our source dataset, and now let's navigate to our blob and find our file there. Let's select that and let's click OK and create our dataset. And now we have configured our source dataset. Next, let's configure our sink dataset. Let's create a new dataset. Let's select Azure Blob Storage, again binary, and then let's name our dataset according to our naming conventions. Let's select the linked service, and then let's select our tutorial 6 sink. And in our sink we don't have any files to choose, so we can just move forward. And now we can go back to our pipeline and first configure the source and select the dataset that we just created. And then we can configure our sink and go there and also find the dataset that we just created. But for the sink dataset, we actually want to create a parameter that we can dynamically use to pass down values to this dataset. So let's go back to our sink dataset and let's create a parameter called file_name for this dataset. And then we can navigate the connection tab of this dataset and go to the file name and use add dynamic content functionality to open the pipeline expression builder. To this input field we only want to pass down the value that is coming out from our parameter file_name that we just created. So we will select that. Now we can go back to our pipeline and see that our sink dataset has a new parameter called file_name that we just created. Now we would like to dynamically define our sink dataset name. So let's open the dynamic content and our pipeline expression builder and navigate to functions. Let's first find our concat function. We have this convenient search bar here that we can use to find the concat function. And we can type the concat here and see that our concat function is here. And when we hover our mouse over the function, it gives this little piece of documentation for us to see how this function works and what is the return value of the function. You can use this as a quick reminder to you how the function works if you have forgotten. And we can actually click this concat function here and it will add it to the expression builder. Next, we want to define the inputs for our concat function. Our first input string is going to be file_name. So we will write file_name there in single quotation marks. And next, we would like to use UTCNow function as our second input string here. So let's use the search functionality and find our UTCNow function. After we have found our UTCNow function, we can also click that and add it to our expression builder. For some reason, it doesn't add that function as camel-cased like it should, so it gives us this slight warning that this function should be regarded or would be regarded as UTCNow with capital N. But we can change that tiny detail there manually to get rid of that annoying yellow line there. Next, we would like to specify a format for our UTCNow function. And we're going to use the same format that I showed you in the example that we covered in the previous section. So let's use this year, month, day, T, hours, minutes, seconds, and Z format, and have that in the single quotation marks, so Data Factory identifies that as a string and not a function. Next, let's have our last input string, and before that, let's add a comma, and then add single quotation mark, and then add .txt. And here we have our expression that we will be using to dynamically come up with our sync file name when we run the copy data activity. So basically, we are going to combine the file underscore name with our timestamp and then have .txt ending for our file. Now we have everything set and we can debug our run to see what happens. This run shouldn't take that long to run since we are just moving a tiny file from the blob storage to that same blob storage. And now it is done, and we can check the log that files read was 1 and files written was also 1. So it seems that everything worked fine. Now we can navigate to our sync container and see that we have a new file there. And in this file, we can see that now we have dynamically defined the timestamp there. So the timestamp will be different every time this pipeline runs, since the time is always going forward. So we can go back to the Data Factory and rerun our pipeline and see what happens. Let's click the debug again and let's start running this, and this should be done soon. And now it is done. And now we can go back to our sync, and now we can see that there are two files. This is the same file copied 2 times to this same sync container, but we have 2 files because the timestamp in the file is always different, so it won't overwrite the previous file. And this is something that you might want to do for some data transfers when you build Data Factory pipelines. But this is just a basic demo to demo how this dynamic content and building expressions work in the Data Factory, so that we can use these concepts in the upcoming videos to build actually more production-ready data pipelines with Data Factory. That is all that I wanted to cover today. I hope you now have an understanding how dynamic content works in the Data Factory, and you can start building your own more dynamic pipelines. Also, I would highly recommend you to fire up your own Data Factory and start testing these concepts in action. Because in the future, we are going to use these concepts in way more complex scenarios to build way more dynamical pipelines. And before ending this video, I want you to know that making these videos takes a significant portion of my free time. So I would highly appreciate if you would leave a like to this video and subscribe to the channel for more Azure and Data Factory content. Also, if you have any suggestions what you would like to see me cover on this channel, put some comments to the comment section down below. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.